Thailand will be the leader in terms of tourism and gourmet in whole of ASEAN. Right now, people are looking at Hong Kong and people are looking at China. I think for Hong Kong and China, we can always say sayonara. It's time to say goodbye.
Welcome to another episode of Koktail Conversations by Koktail Magazine. I'm your co-host Nigel Oakins, founder of Koktail Magazine, and today I'm at the Lebua at State Tower at the Pink Bar on the 61st floor. I'm with special guest Deepak Ohri, CEO at Lebua Hotels and Resorts. His LinkedIn bio states he is an award-winning entrepreneur who has transformed the luxury hospitality landscape in Asia. Fun fact, he's also just appointed executive in residence in entrepreneurship and innovation at the College of Business, Florida International University. So let's get to it.
We'll start with this cocktail first, Nigel. Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
And what we're drinking is Bellini. And It is white peach syrup with Prosecco. It's a seasonal cocktail here at Pink, only when the white peaches are in season.
I mean, everybody knows you, Deepak, for what you've done at Lebua Hotels with your sensational restaurants, and they know you as a host. But tell us a little bit about your early days. How did you get into this business?
I think I got into this business because I didn't get into any other business. And that's the reality. Okay. I will not say that I had a passion, but I developed the passion. And when I got into this business, I was not drinking alcohol. And it took me almost a month to get acquired to my first beer. And everybody used to laugh at me. But then besides that, I got into this business, developed my passion. And from very early days, I got into food and beverage. And from very early days, I realized that food and beverage is the future. So
food and beverage at the very high end of the chain, or do you even think about something at a sort of more basic level?
I think if you see my career graph, I've done basic level, I've done high level. Since the building is very high, so we thought, why don't we take the level a little bit higher? Once the situation stabilizes, we are going to add a little bit more of a casual things into our portfolio of finer things.
So let's talk about the situation. I mean, we can't really avoid that right now. I think you mentioned earlier that December was a phenomenal month, but here we've hit January again. And obviously with the renewed kind of restrictions on travel and dining, tough times again. What are you doing to get through this?
I think patience, and that's what is required. Building confidence among employees, making sure they are not insecure. Because what is also happening is a great resignation drive all over the world. And however good you are to your employees, you're going to lose them not because you are good or you are bad, but they are getting insecure, not because of the organization they are working, but because of the overall atmosphere, the environment and everything. And I was telling someone, so people said the IT firms, they are hiring.
IT firms?
Yeah, they're doing very well. Which is a great thing to listen to. But the attrition rate is the highest among the IT firms. And that is the reason they are hiring. And where the lowest attrition rate is? Airlines, 5% only. With this COVID, the two things has happened. We started using negative words with the positive emotions and very positive words with the negative emotion. Great resignation. Resignation is not positive, but we have added great.
Right.
Shopping is always very positive, but revenge in front of that. So I think this is also, we're doing a research at the FIU where I teach also as a hobby.
Right.
That is Florida International University. When you add negative to a positive thing or a positive to a negative thing, you are creating an emotional discomfort. And that is not very positive. So I think Bangkok, we are doing, among ASEAN region, we are doing quite good. We are holding on to the fort. I think I was very happy to read that we have restored our ties with KSA, Kingdom of Saudi Arabia. That's a great move. So we have one more country which has been missing, and it is good for both the countries. We hope that soon, February 1st, the test and go begins, and it will be like the month of December.
How does that impact service? Because my guess is that service is an incredibly important part of the service and the offering that you have here in these beautiful restaurants. So if you've got that kind of turnover or you've got that kind of attrition that's been going on in the last year or two, has it impacted the service, and how do you get around that?
Not at our place, because we never hired a part-timers. So our original base of employees were very high. Also, we didn't let any employees go because of COVID. Saying that, we did lose people because they resigned because of the great resignation drive.
Right.
But they didn't resign mostly from our top iconic restaurants.
Okay.
Okay, so that is where we are able to retain our talent and able to give the service.
I seem to recall reading about you somewhere where you said, don't ask me about all the people we've let go, talk about all the people we've hired. So,
retained,
or retained. So that's a critical part of the way you run the business.
Yeah, so we retain most of the people who are important to our business. Some have gone. We are not able to retain all because that happens in a business. But when we are able to retain the people, and service is something, it's not a mean, it's a maiden. So your service is compared to your counterparts all over the world.
Yeah.
So most interesting part is that we have our 2 restaurants which are 2-star Michelin, Mezzaluna and Chef's Table. When I was in US for 3 months, I visited 4 hotels. I was staying in Orange County. There's a Pelican Hotel, then is a Montage, Monarch and Ritz-Carlton.
Okay.
All these 4 hotels couldn't open their signature restaurants.
Why?
Because they didn't have people. We never faced that issue. So we are way ahead of that. That is one part. We are able to retain all our chefs. That is again another compliment. We are able to retain the people whose skills are very important to us. Okay, we lost the people we are losing because when we drive the marketing through innovation and we use innovation in the other part where the customer interaction is important, that is where we're losing people because that is what is adding to the insecurity among the employees all over the world. Not only to us or our industry, but it is all over the world.
So just bringing it back to this region, I think it's fair to say that Bangkok didn't have a reputation of being a gourmet city 10 years ago. I get a feeling it's coming onto the world stage a little bit now. Why is that happening? Do you agree with me? And why is that happening?
I do agree with you, Nigel. Bangkok never had the reputation of a gourmet city. I think Michelin and TAT has worked hard and able to restore that confidence among people that Bangkok is a gourmet destination. And it took some time for both TAT and Michelin to give that confidence to the people that they are all about quality. And we saw that change. So I just give our example. In 2020, when we opened for business, our business was not doing well. And we saw that certain small restaurants and standalone restaurants did amazingly great business. And we were quite affected. But anyway, we said, you know what, we have to work towards it. And then when in between I went to US for 3 months, which I just mentioned to you, and I saw that the same trend was happening there. But people were shifting towards finer restaurants. Those certain hotels which I mentioned didn't open their finer restaurant. We came back. December year was a bumper year. Amazing year. But not only for us, but for every hotel, every restaurant which is giving quality. So a consumer all over the world, which is very consistent, has realized that price is not what they should be going for. Quality is what they should be going for. And quality, I'm not saying always expensive stuff or a fine dining, but they're looking at the quality. They are looking at more than quality, they're looking for consistency. Somebody who can say that this is a great place. And I think Michelin, whether we like it or not, some people may not like it, but the reality is if Thailand today is standing on its foundation of gourmet, it is because of Michelin.
But it's also because it deserves to be standing there now.
Yes,
it's a chicken and egg, I guess. What came first?
See, Michelin won't come if Thailand didn't have that kind of talent and that kind of spread that it has to stand.
And can Thailand go further? Has it reached its kind of limit? Or
I think it's only the beginning. Thailand will be the leader in terms of tourism and gourmet in whole of ASEAN. Right now, people are looking at Hong Kong and people are looking at China. I think for Hong Kong and China, we can always say sayonara. It's time to say goodbye. And I think Bangkok is going to take that pole position very soon.
Talk a little bit about Michelin because, I mean, again, somewhere in my mind, I think you were somehow involved in pleading or convincing or cajoling somebody to kind of do the deal. Is that a story you can tell? Or
I can. I think in Bangkok, you see, the cycles happen. At one point of time, we were looking, and I'm not trying to, not because you're sitting here, Nigel. It's a question you should not be asking because people will think I'm getting paid to say that. So the 2 guides, so before Michelin came in, the only guide that was of any standard in this city is your guide, that the best restaurants and bar, because whatever it is, you're giving them something. And the fact of the matter is, if you look at your guide, 80 to, I would say 90% of those restaurants of top 10 or top 20 would be exactly in the same sequence in the Michelin guide also. And you come before that. There's no way you can know what Michelin is doing. That is point number 1. Point number 2 is, besides your guide, there was hardly anybody of a substance in this city who can say that this restaurant is doing well or this restaurant is doing well. And what happened was that there was certain process that was happening where many guides came in and they were saying, go to this restaurant, go to this restaurant, customer is customer. It was very difficult to convince that without Michelin that we are the one which is giving quality. And that's the time I thought that I should go and say that Thailand is a great opportunity. Why don't you look at Thailand? They said, yes, we are ready. And I made them meet TAT. And that was my part. And then I backed off.
So you made the intro.
Yeah, introduction. Okay. And today you see it has done great to Thailand. It has done great to the gourmet tourism. And it has done so great that people say that this place has got quality.
Give us a little bit into the secrets of that, because that is the holy grail of how you run a great restaurant, isn't it? If you get the pricing wrong, no one's going to turn up.
Pricing in any business, pricing is the most important thing. How you price your product. That's a key.
But it doesn't mean don't be expensive, does it?
There's nothing called expensive when it comes to pricing. We always say appropriate pricing.
Okay.
Now you have to see what is your story of your product. And when you tell your story of your product, we have to keep that in mind that customer is far much more intelligent than we are. And we always tell the story, and that is where most of the organizations go wrong, that when we tell our stories, we know everything, and the consumer who's spending the money doesn't know. But the point is, we are only communicating to him. The consumer who's spending the money actually knows more than we know.
And jumping around here a bit, Deepak, but going back to reviews around the world and things, I've used my forums in the past to be a bit critical of some of them, where they kind of almost feel, you kind of look at that list and wonder, how the hell did that ever happen? And I'll name one, which I think is the world's top 100 restaurants. Or
you're talking about World's 50?
World's 50 or Asia's
I have written
top
them a letter that please do not judge any of our restaurant or the bars.
Well, I hit the right tone here, right? Why would you be kind enough to sort of say the things you said about our guides in the past and Michelin? What's wrong with Asia's top 50?
Okay, so it's not Asian, it's a World 50, and then one of the derivatives is Asian, Middle East, Latin. Okay, whatever. So the issue that is wrong is, I won't include Michelin, otherwise people think that I've got 2 restaurants in Michelin and I'm advocating for them. So let's look at New York Times.
Right.
Now, pre-COVID, New York Times Sunday review of a restaurant where they would give 4-star as top restaurant, 1, 2, 3-star. The guy no restaurant would know, and the gentleman who's going and doing the review will either put a wig, change his appearance and everything, book under a different name, go and dine. He's staying in New York, but nobody would know how he looks like, and that is how he's reviewing. Right? Yeah. So that is how the reviews are done. I don't know who's Michelin inspector, and I would never know. Okay, we have our guesses, and sometimes we laugh because when the guest is leaving, he gives the card. Oh, you're working for a oil company. Okay, okay, we thought you were a Michelin inspector.
Give me special treatment
because you know so much about the food. You're asking too many questions. Now, when it comes to Asia 50 or the similar awards like that, everybody knows who are the jury members. Restaurants host them to introduce their restaurant. There are 20 jury members and everything. And there was a time, the reason I told them not to write, there was a judge who had to judge in their format that 2 restaurants of your country or 3 restaurants of your country and 2 restaurants overseas. And he was a well-known judge, but he never traveled outside of Thailand, and he's a part of their judgment. So whole thing is a little bit of a compromising, and that's why we decided that it has to be very different. You are not, because you may have a great relationship with anything, but you are a person, like you said, a 40 years veteran. You're made of a very different substance. So you keep, or you tell your team to keep their head very high. So we need more people like you. We need more people like Michelin, and that is where we'll be able to restore the consumer confidence.
Thank you again. I'm going to stay on food. For various reasons, I became a vegetarian and a plant-based food eater only. What's your view of those people when they walk into your restaurants? Do you cater to them, or do you say, "Why? There's plenty of vegan restaurants out there. Please go there."
My wife is the most finicky when it comes to eating. I think worse than you. Okay, I hope she don't listen, otherwise she's going to kill me.
Oh yeah, she won't see this.
Okay, so there should have been no butter. Sometimes she's vegetarian. Sometimes say, okay, I'll go for chicken. So I never know until she comes to the restaurant what she's going to eat. Okay. And in US she'll say, don't put this, don't. So even for a salad, she says, what vegetables you're going to add? How are you going to chop it? So the point is, a very simple thing is, a customer is coming to you. You have a reputation, whatever pricing structure you are. If you are allowing that customer to walk in, you better listen to the customer and give the customer, him or her, what the customer desires. So if someone is a vegetarian or someone is a vegan, and if we are not able to cater to those customers' demand, we should not be in business. So I think that is not a problem for us. The issue that comes when people try to ask that why the pricing is so high. And there's an explanation to that.
Okay.
So the higher the price is, there's something called after-sales service.
Okay.
We are charging a price for you when you complain, look at how we respond. And that is why you're paying that price. I'll just give you an example. I bought an expensive SUV and there was an issue.
Right.
So I said, I have this issue. They said, we're coming to a house and picking it up. They came to the house,
Very good.
They picked it up, they kept the car and they updated the software and everything and gave the whole explanation that why something like that was happening. It was no problem with the car. It was just one prompt message was coming that see the owner's manual. So they updated the whole software and everything.
Yeah.
So this is service. So I feel very happy that, you know what, they come, they picked up the car, they delivered the car back, and I didn't have to do anything. Everything got updated. They told us what to be done. So this is what you pay the price for. You
Not
don't
the
pay the
ingredients
price.
in the food.
No, you pay for that also because
Okay.
So I won't buy the car if the car is not running. Am I right? So that is given. When you go to a restaurant, it is given that the food will be good.
Yeah.
The service will be good, and the wine and the champagne would be of highest quality. That is given. What is not given is that if somehow you're not able to enjoy the experience, how does the team react to it?
So what you're saying, you welcome more vegetarians and vegans because
We
you're going
welcome
to
everyone.
get a bigger profit margin for them.
We have vegan wines also.
Of course, I'm very glad to hear that. Hopefully try one day. Yeah, so and actually to be fair, I think we vegans and vegetarians should phone ahead, especially the vegans, the finicky vegans out there, and say, are you able to cater for me, and not just turn up and hope for the best.
Yeah,
And
but even if they turn up,
I
we
always do
try
that.
to cater to their demands. And I think our chefs are well trained to do that.
When the tourism industry dried up 2 years ago, so suddenly you're catering to a domestic audience. Did you change at all? Or did you say, well, this is our international offering and welcome domestic guests? Or
We wanted to do that, but we did change a little bit. We flexed on our dress code a little bit.
relax on the dress code?
A little bit.
Yeah.
Okay. We relaxed on our corkage policy for some period of time. And then we realized it's not helping us.
Oh,
So we all learn from our mistakes. And then what we learned is that our identity is our identity. Like if something happens, say COVID is happening, we can't travel. It's because of COVID.
Right,
So I
right.
can't change my name and think I can travel, right? My name is my identity. My passport is my identity.
Right.
Changing that is not going to ensure that I can travel. So that is immediately learned our lessons and we went back to where we stand. And that's why today, not in January, but December and November, we did so well because people appreciated our identity, standing tall, not in terms of the height we're talking here, standing tall to everything what we stand for and giving the customer what we always promised pre-COVID and during COVID.
do you have a plan for Thai restaurants? Probably a better question.
I think at one stage we will do it, just to let you know that doing a good Thai restaurant is not easy. It's a very complex and you have to really work very hard. There are two restaurants which are very difficult to do, Thai and Indian. So we are going to do that at an end, but we'll definitely do it.
It's in the plans.
Yeah, it's in the plan.
Let's change the subject a little bit and get on to what you've been doing actually since COVID, I think, to some degree, where you've been pursuing giving back a bit and trying to get into mentoring and education creating programs for MBA students. Tell me about that.
I got that opportunity with Florida International University. We are lucky, I'm a very different kind of a person. I won't do everything that is cookie cutter. So we created a curriculum. I think it's first time I co-created a curriculum. And in US, it would be very rare for someone from non-academic to tie up with the academic person and co-create a curriculum.
How did you tie up?
I was speaking at one of the conferences in Hong Kong and the professor came in there, said, very good speech. I said, can you give me a chance?
Oh, you asked.
I asked, okay, we can give you a chance at the undergrad, but we'll have few observers there. I said, okay. But they all liked it. There
So
were
you
three-
did it. You put something together.
Yeah. So no. So it was an undergrad, not a
Okay,
graduate.
okay.
And then they said, oh, you did very well. I said, then can I have a graduate class chance? He said, what? So after 100 hours of discussions and pursuing them, we agreed on this luxury incubator project, which will happen next 2 months in March, where I'll be in US.
How long will you have to be there?
I'll be there for first leg for 3 weeks. Then I come back and then I go to review the projects. So in this luxury incubator, what we are talking about is a very good thing. And I'll give you an example of that. It's called emotional expression.
Okay.
And why certain destinations? We're not talking about a hotel. We're not talking about a restaurant. We're talking about destinations. Why certain destinations are doing well and why certain destinations don't do well. So the word that is coming, we think, but we are doing a lot of research on this. It's a completely research driven. We don't know what the result would be. I'll let you know because it's a public university. So the result will be very public, is emotional expression. Now there's a place between San Diego and LA called Orange County.
Yeah.
And in Orange County, there's an area developed by Irvine family called Newport Coast.
Okay.
So they have 4 hotels, which I just mentioned, which didn't have their signature hotel open: Pelican Hotel, Monarch, Montage, and Ritz-Carlton. Look at the average room rate. Compare that with LA hotels and compare that with San Diego, termed as the most expensive city or one of the most expensive city. They are the highest. Now the most interesting thing, the highest Louis Vuitton revenue in whole of US is not at 5th Avenue or at Rodeo Drive. It is at South Coast Plaza, half the size of the corresponding stores at 5th Avenue and Rodeo Drive. Why? Because when you go there, suddenly you get happy. The way they have spent the money, the way they have created the emotion, invoke emotion, they have created a destination. So out of nowhere, neither San Diego nor LA, in between, what they have created is the most expensive Newport Coast. So you go 1 kilometer out of Newport Coast or even half a kilometer this side or to the other side, you see a very different US. But in the Newport Coast, you see a lot of money, a lot of spending, and most of the people are coming and spending the money are from LA and San Diego. And that is what is a emotional expression. Now in New York, there's another real estate company called Related Companies, which has done the Hudson Yard. They have not been able to generate that kind of thing. Why? Because that emotive expression is missing. And when you create larger real estate portfolios, emotive expression, what it does is it increases your cost. It gives you more revenue. Now look at Miami. In Miami, I'm sorry to say that, I teach there, you have Bentley apartments coming up. You have Aston Martin apartments already there.
Oh, right.
So you have more apartments under the car names than the cars in the Miami city right now for these 2 brands. But the pricing is not where it should be. And why the pricing is not there is because when you design with the interior designer and when you design any of these real estate projects with the companies, architects, you never look at emotive expression.
So is this going to have an impact on Thailand? And
Yeah,
where
because
does Thailand fit into that right now?
Lebua is a emotive expression.
But you said it's not a particular venue, it's a destination. What is Thailand's emotive expression?
I think Thailand until today has not been able to create its emotive expression as a destination.
Wow, now that's getting into some interesting stuff, isn't it?
Yeah, I'm sorry. It has not been able to create. There are very few places which has been able to create the emotive expression where people feel like, even Lake Como is not emotive expression. Lake Como is old money, people and lake. That's it. It's not an emotive expression.
Okay, so give us an example in Southeast Asia where you would see emotive expression is.
I think the emotive expression could have been explored in Laos.
In Laos?
Yeah, because the Laos is a little bit lucky because they have got the whole landscape and everything for a great emotive experience, but they have not been able to exploit it.
Right.
Because they don't understand what they have. Sometimes you're sitting on a gold mine, but you don't know that there's a gold you're sitting on. So they have not been able to do that. Singapore is all concrete. I won't say it is a emotive expression. Thailand has got a lot of opportunity, but no, they have not been able to create a emotive expression. They have been able to create a lot of brands. They have been able to get a lot of brands, but that emotive expression is lacking.
Thing to end our conversation on, right?
Yeah.
But before we go, I'm going to ask our Mr. Cameraman over there, could not. Do you think you can get us having our final cheers facing that incredible view out there?
Come, let's do that.
Thanks for listening. Cocktail Conversations by Koktail Magazine is hosted by founder Nigel Oakins and editor-in-chief Mika Apichasakon. Follow us on Spotify to keep up with the latest conversation. You can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at Cocktail Magazine.